Eddie, you've built, scaled, and exited over 95 companies. You've collectively exited for over $1.4 billion. You own 4,000 real estate doors, and you made the bulk of your wealth in insurance, and you've also been in prison in Bolivia.
Yeah, I was going from the Middle East to Colombia and then flew to Bolivia to do a quick survey on a potential opportunity there. And they didn't like the fact that I'd come from the Middle East and I was in Colombia and then now I'm in their country. So they put me in a holding cell for nearly 3 days, no food, no water. I literally thought I was going to die.
What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self, I wanted success to come fast. I wanted it to come so fast. I didn't want to give up my 20s for success to wait to my 30s. And I would tell myself that 2 great pieces of advice. Number 1, I would tell myself success will come. Just stay the course. Stay consistent, stay the course. Don't worry about when it's going to come. Stop fretting about when it's going to come and just stay the course. Number 2,
Here with the one and only Eddie Wilson. Eddie, you've built, scaled, and exited over 95 companies. You've collectively exited for over $1.4 billion. You own 4,000 real estate doors, and you made the bulk of your wealth in insurance, and you've also been in prison in Belize.
that's true.
So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, so walk us through about where you started in business and where your first real breakthrough was.
Yeah, so I started off in television, radio, and broadcasting, and then left that and started an ad agency. That ad agency is where I really cut my teeth and started building a business. That was where I was trying to, build and grow because it was mine. My first breakthrough is really that ad agency. I had landed the Buffalo Wild Wings account, so we were, did a lot with Buffalo Wild Wings. And, we built a big agency, and then I had to exit. It was unintentional, but I was trying to source capital, ended up exiting that company. But that was really the first big breakthrough in my business life. That was the catalyst to everything else.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. When you were in those early stages and when did you start in 20 years old?
I was in radio and TV in 19. I owned my own business by 21-ish.
Okay, so within that range between 19 to 21, did you know you were going to be this person that would build and exit for over $1 billion?
No, I had no clue. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My mom's an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship, like leaving corporate, like the safety of corporate, was very natural. It's like my family is very much entrepreneurial, and so that was the easy part. But I didn't come from a family who has massive wealth like that, right? Like my family was they did well and they were successful, but not at that level,
Yeah.
And my dad was very much of the type of like, you just stick with the same thing for 40, 50 years, you build this nest egg, you pass it on or you sell it or whatever, but it was never like this process that like I'm in. It's a lot different.
Yeah. When did things really start falling in place for you and you got into, because that's one thing I think a lot of people struggle with that I've seen early on where things do go south, is they get into business and they're focusing on too many things and they end up becoming a master of none.
Sure.
So how have you been able to build and manage all these companies without them falling apart?
Yeah. I get asked that question a lot because at one time I had 86 companies running concurrently. That's like real companies, real employees, real offices, And the way that I got there was if you step back before the 86, I had about 30 in mass chaos, like 26, 28 mass chaos. And the catalyst to the 86, the catalyst to the big exit, was what I now call my Empire Operating System. It was a systematic way of doing business that I overlaid over all businesses. So we were talking the same languages, measuring the same things, going through the same processes, where if you were running one of my businesses, I could talk to you just like I talked to one of the other 85 people. And once I got to that level, it was like, then I realized like the systems and processes are what truly allow us. Most people tell you can't focus on more than one thing. I highly disagree. I think that within focusing on systems and processes, it allows you to manage and focus on everything, but combining it together. The thing is if you don't speak the same language to the second business, now you have multiple things to focus on. And so I've mastered that, and that's how I scaled.
What are the levers that applies to every business?
The levers that apply to every business is there's really what like I always get people that ask the question, well, did you have like some high level of college, or like where did you learn all this stuff? And the fact of the matter is that there were things I learned in college. And what I learned is what you just asked me, and that is in my kind of graduate program. And I can give anybody an MBA in about 5 minutes. That's about the value of my MBA, and that is that there's really 5 levers, right? There's operations, there's leadership, there's sales and marketing I grouped together, there's finance, and there's personnel, HR. Those are the 5 levers. If you understand and grade yourself on those 5 levers or pillars, then every month you can gradually move each one of those levers and pillars up and operate at a very high level operational output.
What point do you think it makes sense for guys to get an assistant?
Right off the bat. The minute that you begin to produce, and you know how to produce, you should get an assistant that helps you produce more. I was debating another well-known business guy, and we were debating, and he said, I believe that the first hire for any entrepreneur should be somebody in finance. I said, I highly disagree. I said, an entrepreneur oftentimes ruins his success by essentially producing and hiring somebody that does the exact opposite of them. I said, I believe that every entrepreneur should produce at their highest level and then get someone that can help them produce at the next level, right? Mm-hmm. Then at that output, then you begin to supplement all the things that you need.
Where do most entrepreneurs go wrong when they're building and scaling their businesses, trying to get to the next level?
So most entrepreneurs fail at hiring. So when they mess up is they get enamored with their own success, their own ability. I have what's called my revenue plateaus. I know exactly what it takes to go from 0 to 1 million. I know exactly what it takes to go to 1 to 3 million. I know exactly what it takes to go to 3 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 500, 500 to a billion. I can give you every single minuscule step that takes you to go from 0 to a billion. In that process, from 0 to a million, right? People make big mistakes by rehiring themselves over and over and over again. You get the most out of your output in that 0 to a million, and then you begin to build a team around you that supports your ability for output, right? That's a true entrepreneur. Now, there are other people that don't produce at a high level, right? And they need to go hire somebody to produce. But a majority of small businesses are ambitious entrepreneurs who are just out there trying to make it happen. And what they do is they get enamored with their own success, and they go, oh, I'm pretty good at this, so I'm just going to go hire another Eddie, and this person then produces similar to how they do. Well, they now compound all the issues that they create themselves, right? And then when you compound the issues you create yourself, you create roadblocks along your growth, and you're always compensating for them.
So how should they hire instead?
You should hire that assistant that gets the most out of you. Then I believe I use a system called Predictive Index. Predictive Index then tells me what I'm driven to, but it also tells me typically you have 3 gaps. Every person has 3 gaps they have to make up. There's 4 quadrants in business, and there's one you're really good at, right? I always say the 4 quadrants are results and discipline, innovation and agility, operations or operational success, and then teamwork and employee experience. You're usually really good at one and not great at the other 3.
Well, what would you say I am?
So you are innovation and agility without a doubt. Like you are most likely a maverick. You're most likely kind of somebody who's going to step out, and you're going to create the wave. The thing is when you are innovative, you are pushing, right? You are, you're disruptive. And so you have to have somebody who has the results and discipline to make sure that what you create can be maintained, right? Then the operational side is now, can you maintain it over time, and do your customers get the same experience? And then teamwork and employee experience. You probably are close to teamwork and employee experience because I see you building teams. I see you really caring about people and relationships, but I think your innovation and agility. So when you do that, what happens is you hire that assistant. Well, what that assistant does is they create even more innovation and agility, which then creates even more gaps. Then you began to hire to counterproduce the counterweight the issues that you at your highest level of productivity create.
That's really good. That's really good. Where do you see most entrepreneurs getting hung up on, specifically in their business?
Yeah, most of them get hung up. If you go down those 5 pillars, most of them have deficiencies in those pillars, right? So they're either really good at leadership, or really good at operations, or really good at finance, or really good at hiring and recruiting, or really good at marketing and sales. Oftentimes, what happens is whatever those 5 pillars are, they sit on either the offensive side of the business or the defensive side. Everything you do in business is offense, defense. Offense is leadership, sales, marketing. It's pushing the business forward. Defense is keeping it all safe. It's operations, it's finance, it's human resources, right? And typically where they get hung up at is they're really good at offense or defense, and then they discount someone else that's really good at the other, right? Because it's almost the opposite of them, so they discount it, right? They're like, I'm really good at sales and marketing, so therefore don't put systems and processes around me. It's going to prevent me from being good at sales and marketing. It's like, and you need the balance.
You do. You do. Okay. You talk about time, money, and significance, the 3 motivators of people. What have you seen, first of all, motivates the majority of people? But then secondly, what is the lever that motivates the majority of people long term? And are those 2 things the same?
Yeah, it's a great question. First book I ever wrote, I wrote for myself, and it was my thesis on life. And I called it Time, Wealth, Purpose, or Significance. Time was a concept that my dad taught me, how to manage my time. And, you and I today were discussing that as we're driving to the orphanages. And it's like, that is something that I have mastered. Wealth oftentimes is a byproduct of just mastering your time. And then purpose is typically a byproduct of aligning who you are, the time you're spending, and the wealth you're now creating with fulfillment. What happens is as you go through that process, right? Most people are either driven, typically most people that can't articulate what drives them, what gives them fulfillment, either anchor into wealth or some sort of monetary benefit, right? If I do this, I get this. Or they anchor into, there's a lot of people pleasers in this world. And there are a lot of people that aren't really working for the wealth or the monetary benefits. They're working for somebody that recognizes them. Most people in their subconscious are tied to this innate desire to be loved and respected and needed. And so oftentimes that shows up and they feel like, well, I if somebody would just recognize how good I am, somebody give me a pat on the back, and they'll run through walls for it, but they don't understand why. So what I do is I take them back and I take them through, your life has significance. You're created for something. And if you are and were created for something and for a purpose, then why wouldn't you architect your time to give yourself to that purpose? When you architect your time to innately go after that purpose, what you were created for, wealth comes. Now, I define wealth differently. Wealth to me is having enough for today and using what I need for today, but it doesn't diminish tomorrow. That's true wealth to me. Wealth isn't a car or a monetary amount. And so when you get to this place of, I can create sustainability for myself, opportunity for those around me, and a legacy for my family, right? You got wealth taken care of. Well, now you get to that last piece, which is where most people get stuck, which is purpose, right? Like significance.
Something a lot of people struggle with.
They really do. And I get asked that question by so many young, really high performers, right? People that are actually producing. They're like, well, this is great, but I feel like there's something missing. Like I get that a lot. Like, Eddie, I feel like there's something missing in my life. I got the car, I got the girl, or I got the guy, I got the house, I got the thing, and it's like I was really driving to this, but there's still something missing, you know? And what they're missing is that North Star of purpose or significance. Our subconscious, I know you do a lot of personal development, our subconscious drives 85, 90% of who we are and what we do, the decisions we make. And most of our subconscious is tied to the traumas we've gone through in life, right? Early traumas, things like that, when perceived loss of control. And we typically are trying to fight to get that back, which oftentimes is some sort of recognition or significance in this life. What most people miss, though, is I believe that in every human, there is architected a gap, right? I think most people look at it and they go, well, it's all the trauma that happened to me in my life. I didn't have a good upbringing, whatever it is. I think it actually stems before that. I think it was architected by a creator God who wanted you to feel significance and purpose in this life. I think it's a gap, it's a hole. And I believe it can only be filled by one source, right? But in that, it's like you begin to architect your time towards it. You begin to see the output of your life, but then what are you going to spend it on, right? Like, what are you going to get out of it? Then you architect all of that towards fulfilling that purpose, that gap that was created in you, right? Like, I think every human has abilities, strengths, gifts. I believe everybody has a gifting. And the problem is that I also feel like they've also been given a gap or something missing, that unless they plug their gifting into what was missing, they'll never feel fulfillment. Does that make sense? That's what significance and purpose is.
All the success that you've had and everything you've achieved in your life, what would you define as true success?
True success to me comes in different forms. I feel like that is probably the absolute hardest question you could ask a high performer, because the bar has changed so many times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Phase after phase after phase. First phase was, can I create a legacy, a name for myself, whatever that was my 20s. 30s was, can I take care of my family? Can I pass on what I'm building? Can I build something big and significant, a company? I'm in my 40s now, I'm 46. And I find success in making an impact on humans, people that couldn't find success without me stepping into their life. True success to me is living a daily optimized experience of impact for those who can't impact their own life. I don't think it's a monetary amount. I think it's every day I lay my head on my pillow and I say, did I take full opportunity to make impact on the people around me? Did I sow into them everything I have, whether it's my money or my time or my experience? Did I give them what I could give them that gives them the next step in their journey? What I realize is I'm really bad at 0 to 3 startups. Like, I'm really bad at that. I don't really find raw talent. Like, you find raw talent, develop raw talent. I don't. What I'm really good at is that 3 to 10. Somebody who's willing to exert some energy and I see it. I'm like, oh, there's brilliance in that. I'm going to take that and pour gas on the fire. That's what I'm really looking for in life. You know, it could be an orphan who just has some love to give, but nobody to give it to. It could be last night when we did the Shark Tank thing with these kids. It's finding somebody with ambition, but nobody to invest in them. It could be a young entrepreneur who is already successful in their own right. And if I just give them an hour of my time to show them, okay, here are the next 5 steps that I took, it's like all of that is success to me.
Yeah. Yeah, just sitting and watching those kids all pitch their ideas last night.
It's amazing.
That was one of the most fun I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
It's got to be one of the most fulfilling moments I've had in the last, I don't even know how to quantify it. It could be one of those moments in my life that is one of the most fulfilling moments in my life. You know, like watching those kids pitch and know that you could make a difference, like you had the ability to get them to what they wanted and be able to take advantage. I mean, like, we were supposed to only fund 5 out of the 7. We funded all 7.
Yeah.
How do you tell some kid?
And exceeded 3 times the budget.
Yeah, the budget was out the window. And it's like, but the fact of the matter is, how do you tell some orphan that has come through the system and program and they're here and they've rehearsed and they've got ideas and they're already out hustling? How do you tell them they're not worthy of an investment? That would
You can't break that kid's heart.
We literally had a girl last night. She was wanting money to build out a spa. And she was like, my goal is to help like these other young ladies feel beautiful. And, she wanted to help them, but also to take kids that are aging out of the orphanage, these girls, to give them a sense of purpose, help train them. And you remember her close to us was like, let me ask you a question. Could you walk away from an opportunity to make a difference in these girls' lives? And then she's like paused, right? Like it was the word. I was like, here, take my money. Yeah.
I was like, Pastor Sammy helped you on that one. She was good.
Yeah.
She was really good. That was really cool to see. What is your opinion on work-life balance?
I think it's overused. One of the things that bother me so much is when a young person comes in and tells me that they need work-life balance. In the end, work-life balance is what you make it, right? Like, can you find fulfillment and you go back to, you're on my podcast and you talk about 4 things, right?
Yes.
And in those 4 things, can you have that while still working 80 hours a week? You absolutely can. I'm not a this or that type of person. I'm an and both, right? Like,
yes.
So many people ask me, they'll be like, do you want to do this or that? And my answer, you ask my CFO every time, both. Why? Because I do not believe in limitations. I don't believe that I'm limited by whatever construct people put on me. And so if they say, oh, you can't be a good dad and work 80 hours, watch me, right? Like, I believe that work-life balance is stealing opportunity from young people because they're in this box of, I can only work 36 to 42 hours. It's like, you know what? I think the greatest gift I've ever given my kids, I have 3 boys, is not time. I think time's important. It's not money and resources. It's important. It's not, I went to every basketball game and every soccer game and every track meet. That's important. It's not the greatest gift I gave them. The greatest gift I gave them was pursuing my dreams with reckless abandon and showing them it's possible to get there. Because what happens through osmosis, they get to watch it and go, oh, wait a minute. If I just put my effort in, I get to go achieve my dreams too, right? Most people miss it. They think that, oh, I've got to prioritize the baseball game over chasing this dream because they think that's going to make the difference in the child's life. Now, my kids are still, growing up. And we'll see. I mean, like, we'll put my theory to the test in 20 or 30 years and let's see. But I believe the greatest gift I've given my kids is chasing my own dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the listeners, the 4 quadrants on where I define success is relationship, your spiritual life, your relationship with God, your relationship with your family, your success of your business, the health of your business, and then your personal health. Mm-hmm. So the way I would define somebody that's truly successful is, are you optimized in all 4 of those areas? And are you progressively getting better, more importantly?
Sure.
I believe that people are so short-sighted when they look at work-life balance. They look at work-life balance as this day-to-day, week-to-week thing. But if you simply expand the horizon, you look at it in the terms of seasons or even decades.
Sure.
Where for me and my wife, Claudia, we're sacrificing our 20s and we're working really hard in this season so our 30s and 40s can be set up the way we want it to be set up. And when we have a family and kids and so on and so forth, then it's so funny because I've mentored agents for years, and I've had the conversation multiple times about, well, Jonah, I just feel really burnt out, and I don't believe in that. I don't believe burnout is real because you don't feel burnt out because you're working hard. You get burnt out when you're not seeing results. Mm-hmm. So as long as you continually and progressively be getting better and developing in all areas and developing in your business and pushing forward and impacting as many people. I mean, I've been working really, really hard for 5 years. You've been working really hard for much, much longer than me, and I'm great.
Yeah,
you're great. We both live great lives, and God created us to work hard at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's something innately human about feeling good about working hard.
Yeah,
it's misalignment when you work hard and you feel burnt out. Right? There's a misalignment somewhere.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's funny. I'm now stepping aside as the CEO of my business. A couple months ago, I kind of announced it. And this is the first time I've really started to. Now, I've stepped out of a lot of businesses, put people in place, sold the businesses, whatever.
How's that transition out?
It's hard. It's very hard. But it's funny. Most people don't understand. When I sold the ad agency, I was working 70, 80 hours a week. I transitioned right into investing in a group of companies out of Kansas City, and I was still working 70, 80 hours a week. I grew that to 86 companies, still working 70, 80 hours a week. I sold those companies. That's 2020, that's COVID. I still put 70, 80 hours a week in during COVID. Like there was a 2-week time period I called myself retired after the exit. But then I dove into impact others. Like I still put the time in. I traveled. I was one of 5 people on most airplanes flying some random place because I just didn't want to slow down. I wanted to build. I then built. Then Andrew Cordell walks my life, pitches me on the Aspire Tour. We built the world's largest business tour. It's like in the last 4 or 5 years, it's like working 70, 80 hours a week. The fact of the matter is that I don't want to slow down, like because when you find fulfillment in the work of your hands, it's like, why slow down? Like I'm energized by the work. The problem is when people get stuck and they begin to do all the things that they don't want to do, that they don't tie to fulfillment. There is no intrinsic value given back to them through fulfillment, through doing what they are created to do, they're successful at. It's like burnout is misalignment. That's all it is, simply put.
Yeah. What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
My 20-year-old self, and here's the hardest thing in your 20s, is I wanted success to come fast. I wanted it to come so fast. I didn't want to give up my 20s for success to wait to my 30s. And I would tell myself that two great pieces of advice. Number one, I would tell myself success will come, right? Just stay the course. Stay consistent, stay the course. Don't worry about when it's going to come. Stop fretting about when it's going to come and just stay the course. Number two, be very careful who you partner with. Partnerships define everything. Every big issue I've had in life, and I've had some amazing partners and I've had some bad partners, and it's like, and bad, like being unequally yoked or being tied to somebody who does not possess the same core values that you do. It's not going the same direction, causes so much friction that all it does is it creates a lack of production, which creates a lack of success.
What do you look for when partnering with somebody?
Somebody who compliments me, somebody who allows me to be great at what I'm great at, and somebody who is secure enough in their own skin that they can just go be great at what they're great at. Every great partnership is built in an understanding of I lack something, right? And that you bring something that I lack. But then it also has to be rooted in a lot of self-confidence and a lot of security, not insecurity. Insecurity crushes every partnership, right? Because you have to allow the person the space. I have a business partner right now, Andrew Cordell, and I have to allow him the space to be him. He is 100% the opposite of me. He's crazy. He's a crazy visionary. He is the opposite of me. And I have to be secure enough in myself to allow him to be him. That's the only way partnerships work.
What's a red flag that you see in people where it's an automatic, I would never partner with you?
A couple things. They are unwilling to have the hard conversation up front. What happens if this thing fails? What are we going to do? They're unwilling to do the paperwork, do the hard things, have the hard questions, have the hard conversation. That's number one. If you're not willing to talk to me about what happens if this entire thing blows up, what are we going to do? I'm out. Number two is ego. Ego really does hurt partnerships bad. Now, there's a positive side to ego. There's a negative side to ego, right? Ego can drive you. Ego can also destroy you.
Somebody once told me you can either have a big business or you can have a big ego.
So 100% right. 100% right. And so in the end, it's like we have to make sure that as a whole, we have enough space for each other as a partner. If they have too big of an ego, there's never going to be enough space for me.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time. Last question. Everything you've done in your life, actually, we got to share a story first, and then I'll ask you the last question. You were in prison in Belize, or was it Bolivia? Bolivia.
Yeah.
Well, Ty, you got to share about that.
Yeah. So, I've traveled the world, 100 plus countries, and that always comes with something crazy. We've had a lot of stuff happen. I was going from the Middle East to Colombia and then flew to Bolivia to do a quick survey on a potential opportunity there. And they didn't like the fact that I'd come from the Middle East and I was in Colombia and then now I'm in their country. So they put me in a holding cell for nearly 3 days, no food, no water. I literally thought I was going to die. And
Yeah, no water for 3 days is rough.
yeah, I mean, they gave me water right as I entered, and thankfully I had that, or else I don't know.
You would have
And
made it.
I don't think so. And so sat in a white box on the concrete floor for I didn't know, like, I didn't have anything, so I didn't know if I was in there for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. Like, I didn't know. You lose track of time. So I'm in there for about 3 days, and
Because you checked your phone after.
yeah, check afterwards. Well, they put me on a plane and sent me out of the country because I for a long time I had diplomatic status. So
Did they not go in and check on you?
no, never.
Were you
they
banging
passed-
on the door?
Oh, a few times. They passed by the window and they look at me, and I'd bang on and try to get something, but they finally realized who I was and saw that I had kind of diplomatic status. I have honorary diplomatic status, and then put me on a plane and sent me out.
If you didn't have that diplomatic status,
I don't
they
know.
have just left you in there to die?
I have no idea. Maybe.
It's like, I'm not asking questions.
It's one of those moments where you're like, I mean, I'm here. The choices I made are the choices I made, and so I better get right with them. But
Were you praying during that time?
oh yeah,
God, if
for
you
sure.
could get me out of here.
I don't remember praying, God, if you get me out of here, I'll do this or do that. I remember getting centered and getting to the place where it's like, if this is it, am I okay with the output of my life, with how I set up my family? Like, man, having all those thoughts, like, and my prayers were more like, God, if something is left undone that I'm supposed to do, give me more time, like, because that really is my greatest fear in life is not achieving the thing that I was created to achieve. Like, I don't want to go through life and I don't want to face God someday. I don't want to face my Creator someday, and then feel like I squandered opportunity. I mean, what a horrible legacy.
Yeah, yeah. I always talk about when we die and we stand in front of our Creator, I believe we're going to see two versions of ourselves, of the person we died and the person we could have become.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I know that I'm never going to get quite to be that second version of myself, but my goal is to get as close to that person as I absolutely can.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good segue, and that leads me into my question I was going to ask you, where at the end of your life, when everything is said and done, and it is time for you to leave this planet and meet our Creator, what do you want to be remembered by?
I want to be remembered not for a lot of people know me because of the exits of the business, and they give me the nickname, stuff like that. But I don't want to be known by that. I've actually trying to push away from it. What I want to be known by is the people in this life that I built, right? The people I sowed into, the people that at my funeral, I hope there's a lot of people from all around the world that simply just say, I achieved my highest self because Eddie made it possible. Eddie sowed into me. Eddie believed in me. That's what I want to be known by. I don't want a name or a statue. I just want a lot of people that are like, man, Eddie invested in me.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
Eddie, thanks for hopping on the podcast.
Yes,
was an
thank you.
honor.
Appreciate it.